Hi, I'm known as Tina of the family Hollands, and I'd like to speak today about the topics of love and joy. To get these terms straight, then I'd like to point out that what I mean by love is that feeling we get inside the chest when we love somebody, or it's frequently felt by people when you're reunited with somebody that you love, and you get this really powerful feeling in here when you're reunited. That's what I mean by love. I'm not talking about any intellectual idea of love or anything like that. I'm talking about the feeling that you get in your heart. And similarly, when I'm talking about joy, I'm not talking about any intellectual idea of joy. I'm talking about that feeling when you get good news, like for example, I mean very good news, like for example, you just passed an exam, you go, yes! Now, that's the feeling, yes! That joy that you've sort of got inside you at that moment. I'm talking about those feelings. So when I'm talking about love, I'm talking about the feeling of love in your heart, and when I'm talking about joy, I'm talking about this elated feeling that seems to well up like this inside one. Now, Jesus told us that God is love, and really he was so popular when he started his ministry, and in the first couple of centuries afterwards his ideas spread like wildfire. And the thing is that, you know, I've read the New Testament and I think, oh yeah, this is fantastic, the kingdom of heaven now. And you join the church and it doesn't happen. You don't find the kingdom of heaven, you know. In fact, you find it's completely different. And in fact, as far as I'm concerned, I've been in and out of the church a few times, you know. But the thing is that I found that it didn't really live up to what I felt was the promise in Jesus, you know, and it didn't work. And last time I was in the church, I was in the Anglican church for several years. I spent 3 years training as an evangelist, and I ended up leaving. I just thought, well, it just isn't working the way it felt like the promise of Jesus would lead to. So, you know, where was the love? Where was the joy? And so I ended up leaving the church, and see in the Bible it says that God is all powerful and he's in control of everything, and in the Bible it said that God's appointed the authorities to rule over us and everything. So you look around in the world, you see injustice left, right and centre. You see wars and rumours of wars and all sorts of unkindness and injustices and murders and everything going on. And you think, well, if God's all powerful and this is the result of it, then you can stick him, he can sling his hook, because I'm not interested. And in fact, it got to the point when I thought, damn, what do? I thought, I don't believe in that God. I believe in love. I think that love's important. And there was no sign of a God of love at all. If you look around you in the world, you know, it looked like God is some sort of crypto-fascist sadist, the way things are going, if indeed everything is going to his plan. So I ended up feeling that, well, okay, I believe in love, I believe in the God of love. There doesn't seem to be any evidence of the God of love around, so I'll just worship my God of love will be my own personal God, and I'm prepared to die for him even though he doesn't exist. That's how I felt. And I went on for a few years with these feelings, and but I kept bits in the New Testament kept ringing in my head and stuff, and you know, the words attributed to Jesus. I just couldn't get away from them. And anyway, you know, not long ago, I thought I got to feeling, well, if love is meant to be the centre of the universe, then hey, why don't I start acting it and trying to act as if it was the centre, you know, the main reason to be. And I thought, well, okay, I believe in love, but ordinarily, under normal circumstances, I don't really feel much love, to be honest. Not really. So how can I love my neighbour? I thought, well, I can love my neighbour. It doesn't have to be really full-on love. Then what can I manage? I can manage to understand my neighbour, and if anyone offends me, then, well, maybe it was a bad day. Maybe they had something on that pressing problem, and really they weren't aware of, you know, upsetting me. So, you know, maybe that's why. So I'll you know, I'll try not to judge them. But sometimes when people impose on you so much, you can't get away from the fact that you think they're some evil son of a bitch, quite frankly. And in that case, what I do is I try to forgive them, rather than going around thinking, oh, the people in charge, you know, the powers that be, terrible, terrible, evil sons of bitches, messing things up for everybody and judging them. Then, well, if I think that love's important, then, well, I really need to find love for these people, you know. Anyway, I was starting to do this. I was starting to try to feel love for people and trying not to judge people. I was trying to lighten my heart by not judging people, and I was trying to show love for people by either by understanding them or forgiving them, or, you know, like that. And this, well, I did this for a while, and every now and again I'd find, you know, I'd get a little feeling of love when I'm doing something or watching something and think, ooh, that's nice. And then as time went on, these little flutterings of love turn into little frissons of love, and think, ooh, and with joy shot through it as well. Ooh, that's nice. And then this started increasing, and then, you know, not long after that, I was starting to get these feelings a lot, and they were really, really powerful, and it would feel like a burgeoning sense of love, and it just seemed to go whoosh, you know, really, you know, mingled with joy. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was such a powerful feeling, and in that feeling, it was so moving. I felt, I've known my God, I've met my God, and I don't ever want to lose my God again. And that's how it felt. And then after that, it dawned on me that, hey, I was actually doing what Jesus was teaching, because the early Christians were called the followers of the way. The followers of the way. Yes, the followers of the way to find the kingdom of heaven within. And that's what the early Christians did. And that's what Jesus said, because that's what he says in the Gospels, isn't it? Love your neighbour, forgive those who transgress against you, but above all, love God. Now, when I was in the church, I had problems with this idea of love God. How on earth do you love God? Because it also says, you know, don't worship graven images. And any intellectual idea I had of God was a graven image in my head. So how on earth could I worship my idea of God when that idea of God is really no more than a graven image? It might not be graven on wood or stone, but it's graven in neural pathways in the brain. But the thing is, without realising it, I was loving God, because when I got these feelings of love, it was nice, and I was loving it. I was loving the love, of course. God is love. So you love God by loving love. It's easy. And Jesus said it was easy. He said in the Bible he said, you can take my burden, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Yes, it is. It's so easy, anyone can do it. And going down history from the beginning of Christianity right down to the present day, the promise that Jesus made, the hope of it was ringing in his words because it resonated in people's hearts, and people have gone into the churches in droves and joined the churches because of the promise of Jesus and the kingdom of heaven. But when they got there, what happened? Nothing. Well, nothing as far as the kingdom of heaven goes, and that should hardly surprise anybody, because Jesus told us. He said, the priests and the three theologians have got the keys to heaven, but they won't let anyone in, and they won't go in themselves. He said they are unto whitewashed tombs, all spick and span on the outside, and full of corruption and death within. And if he said that about the priests and theologians then, he was saying it about them now, because they don't send you into heaven. They don't help you into heaven at all. What happens when you go into the church? Well, they get you there and they tell you how bad you are, how much you have sinned, and that you should give them your money. And then they even go further. Rather than doing what Jesus said and say, hey, all you need to do is to lighten your heart and love people, and that's it. That's all you need to do. It's so easy. You don't need a priest to tell you that. But no, they don't. They make you feel bad and they take your money off you. And Jesus was right. And why did this happen? How did this happen? Well, it happened because the powers that be that were then used the same techniques that they use now to control the emerging Christianity. How did they do that? Well, that's easy. They did it in the same way. They took it at the centre. You can see them, can't you, at the Council of Nicaea about 300, just after about 300 AD, and they turn around and say, you can see them. You know, we've got to rationalise our scriptures and formulise everything, so that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were. So what they did is that they had a big council and they got everyone putting their contributions in, and and thing is that most meetings and conventions, you usually have a central bunch of people who want to steer everything in a certain direction. That's the way humans are. And what they did is they selected these texts, and you can hear them, can't you? Oh yeah, we need to represent everything, don't we? We need to represent all the different types of Christianity in our book, in our Bible that we're creating. We only need to select some of the stuff. There's loads and loads and loads of writings, but if we select some of them as a good representation, then we'll be able to keep that and use that for our worship and finding God. And that's what they did. Yes, so we've got a Bible and it's got Jesus' teachings in it, but it's got a load of other crap as well.